Hello, everyone. I'm Brennan, and thank you for joining us. We're here to celebrate the athletes, the families, the coaches, the friends, and the sports fans as we showcase the most incredible high school athletes from across the country. Not only are we recognizing and awarding the top performers in high school athletics, but we'll also be shining a light on and off the field with stories of courage, heart, and perseverance that provide much-needed messages of hope and inspiration for all of us. So on behalf of the USA Today Network, we want to offer a sincere congratulations to all of our honorees who have wonderful and exciting new chapters ahead. Welcome to the USA Today High School Sports Awards.
This is a Ventures production.
You're watching the USA Today High School Sports Awards.
Please welcome your hosts, USA Today Ventures Sports Content Manager, Ryan O'Leary, USA Today Sports Columnist, Brennan, USA Today Ventures Content and Athlete Operations Specialist, Barrett Fontana, and USA Today Sports Now reporter, Cydney Henderson. The show starts now.
Hey everyone, welcome to the USA Today High School Sports Awards. I'm Ryan O'Leary.
What's up? I'm Barrett Fontana.
Hey everybody, I'm Cydney Henderson.
And I'm Brennan.
And we're so excited to be here tonight to help announce all of this year's USA Today High School Sports Awards winners. This program is now in its third year, highlighting top student athletes who represent their high schools in state-sanctioned sports across the country. And this is going to be a lot of fun. First, we did want to give a little bit of background, though, about this group here.
Well, Ryan and I are part of the High School Sports Awards content team. And, I just feel like we've got the best job in the world. We get to research all these fantastic athletes year round and then get to bring it all together to do this award show.
Well, and Cydney and I are both sports reporters, journalists with USA Today. How fun it is, how lucky we are to get a chance to cover sports for a living. And I've been doing it a little bit longer than all you guys, a previous century. Cydney, how about you?
I agree. It's honestly the best job in the world, and I can't wait to write about all the future athletes.
Well, now that you all know a little bit about us, let's get to know this year's athletes. Barrett, you ready to do this thing?
Let's do it.
Cydney, are you ready?
You know it.
Christine, I know you're ready.
Oh, I've never been more ready in my life.
Perfect. Here we go. Let's kick this conversation off with baseball. Okay, first up, let's talk baseball. I feel like when it comes to student athletes getting drafted straight out of high school, baseball is where we're seeing it the most.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Just last year, our three finalists, Jackson Holliday, Drew Jones, and Tamar Johnson, they all went in the first four picks of the draft. So needless to say, there's no shortage of talent, even when it comes to this 2023 group.
No, definitely not. And what we're looking at right now is our top 25 nominee selections in baseball from this past year. So basically, this is our compilation of the best players in the country, ranging anywhere from freshmen to seniors, could be potentially from any state who have made it on the radar one way or another. Whether that's impressive individual stats, big postseason wins, all that. So coming out on top of that list, this year's Baseball Player of the Year is Walker Martin, senior shortstop from Eaton High School in Colorado.
He just got drafted, didn't he?
Yeah, he got taken in the second round by the Giants. I believe he was the 52nd overall pick. And this past season, he tormented people. He just home runs after the other. Here in a couple of years, we're going to be seeing a lot of bombs in McCovey Cove with the Giants.
For sure.
He hit 20 home runs this past season, and they only played 29 games. He batted .633, knocked in 75 runs. Everything was off the charts. And, at one point during the season, he hit a home run in 9 consecutive games.
No, that's insane.
Yeah.
His team never loses either. They close the season as Class 3A champions, riding a 41-game win streak.
Yeah, but this award definitely had some stiff competition. You got other draft picks like Max Clark in Indiana. He got taken by the Detroit Tigers. He can do it all. You got Noble Meyer, the right-handed pitcher out of Oregon. He got taken by the Miami Marlins as a top 10 pick, posted a .3 ERA, struck out 128 batters, and walked just 19 in 63 innings this season. But Walker Martin was just the obvious pick. He's more than just a home run specialist. He sprays the ball all over the field. He's an elite shortstop and finished his career with 35 doubles and 12 triples.
Yeah, we know he has a big, accurate arm, too, because he doubled as a starting quarterback for the Eaton High School football team. So just an awesome all-around athlete right there. Congratulations again to our Baseball Player of the Year, second-round draft pick, Walker Martin. Cydney, you played softball, right?
Yes, I did.
Were you a pitcher?
I was a catcher, but I have really good memories of my sister being a pitcher and I caught for her.
Okay, because I was asking because there were some elite pitchers out there across the nation this year. We're talking about our girls nominees. Let's take a look here at the top 25 in softball.
Yeah, a lot of pitchers on this nominee list this year. But, not only do we have a lot of pitchers, a lot of them pulled double duty and did considerable damage at the plate this year.
Well, that definitely shouldn't go unrecognized because I feel like when you step into the box against girls like last year's National Player of the Year, Keegan Rothrock in Indiana, or Ava Brown with one of the top teams in the country out in Texas, aren't you just happy if you make contact?
I mean, I know I would be celebrating a foul tip against both of those pitchers. They're amazing. But no surprise here that this year's winner is another powerhouse pitcher. Our softball player of the year is Sage Margetko, a senior from Lamont High School in Illinois.
Ryan, Sage's stats this season literally made me do a double take.
Yeah.
She finished the season undefeated with a 22-0 record and had a 0 ERA, meaning in the 137 innings she pitched in, she didn't allow a single earned run.
That is crazy.
How is that possible?
I mean, she did it, and that made Lamont an extremely difficult team to beat. And of course, they ended up taking home the Class 3A state championship on the back of Margetko.
Just listen to these numbers, guys. She had 24 strikeouts in the state game alone, bringing her total to 326 strikeouts just this season alone.
That's awesome.
She also had 11 no-hitters and 2 perfect games.
And she did some damage at the plate, too, hitting 386 with 5 home runs and a 754 slugging percentage.
And I could just say this, edging out Rothrock, Brown, even Addison Jackson out in Louisiana for this award, that's no easy feat at all. So Sage was just that good this season, and a very well-deserved congratulations to the University of South Carolina bound, Sage Margetko, our softball player of the year. Okay, I know we're mostly here to talk about athletes and teams, but this award goes out to the moments that people never forgot that sometimes make or break championships and in some cases can even go viral. This is the play of the year.
All right, so a little background about this award. During the 22-23 school year, our program highlighted one standout play from high schools across the nation every month. From clutch moves to incredible teamwork to epic celebrations, we got to see the moments that make high school sports and our athletes so special.
We're excited to announce that this year's Play of the Year award goes to the baseball team from Elkhorn North High School in Nebraska. Barrett, give us the breakdown of this crazy play that decided the Class B state championship for this team.
Well, it literally came to the final out of their state championship game, and it was one of those moments that you play countless times in your head, in the backyard or in the driveway of making that big play. But, let's take a look at this. The batter, Kaiser Poppenhagen, steps up with a runner on second and rips a line drive up the middle into center field with a chance for the runner to score. Elkhorn North center fielder Drew Harper scoops the ball up and fires off an absolute laser to the plate. And I mean just in time for the catcher Maverick Henderson to make the tag. Boom. Game over. Mic drop. Chaos. State champs.
Look at that reaction. That just says it all right there.
Yeah, they ended up holding on to a slim lead and walked off the field with a 2-1 win. State champions. It was crazy. And pressure does two things. It breaks pipes or makes diamonds. And there's going to be plenty of diamonds on those rings for the Wolves.
Yeah, play well worthy of the title and the rings for sure. Congratulations again to Drew Harper, Maverick Christensen, and the boys from Elkhorn North. That right there is your Play of the Year. All right, now let's talk about some of our top high school distance runners in the nation, starting with girls cross country.
Yeah, our top 25 for girls cross country is literally from across the country. I'm looking at it right here. We've got runners from coast to coast, from Orono, Maine, all the way to Ventura, California, and that's 18 states that have been represented in this group alone.
Yeah, it's such an impressive group from across the country overall. Almost as impressive, though, is our girls cross country runner of the year, Irene Riggs, a senior from Morgantown High School in West Virginia. Irene had an amazing finish to the season at both the state and national levels, but I mean, we have to talk about how Irene's year started.
Absolutely. She missed almost the full month of September after an accident where a car ran over her foot. Yes, her foot.
It's an important limb when you're aspiring collegiate runner.
Yeah, I stubbed my foot and look at the corner of my bed. I'm down. I'm done. No. But, in all seriousness, Irene might have started her career under the radar, but she definitely made a case for herself after she won the Nike Southeast Regional in the 5K, and she crushed that previous record by like 20 seconds, I believe. And then she followed that up by winning the Nike Nationals at 16 minutes and 40 seconds, and also brought home a 6K win at the USATF U20 Championships.
Yeah, I mean, this girl had some wheels for sure. Between her and some of our close contenders, we could talk about Carrie Balaga from New York. We could talk about Brooke Wilson out in Colorado. A lot of girls had amazing seasons, but let's just say you could not catch this entire group, even if you thought you could. But congratulations again to our 3-time state champ, 4-time team champion, our girls cross country runner of the year, Irene Riggs. All right, next up, we're going to be looking at our athletes in boys cross country.
Ryan, this top 25 is such an elite group of runners. And a couple of our selects are heading to some top flight college programs like Northern Arizona, Stanford, Wake Forest, and even UCLA.
Yeah, and there's probably some people thinking, Northern Arizona, yeah, that's one of the top NCAA running programs in the country. So it's a great group of runners overall, but the national runner of the year is Cole Matheson, a senior from Carmel High School in Indiana. Barrett, what brought Cole to the top?
Man, where to begin? I mean, he had an exceptional season all the way around. And when you consider his accomplishments, not only as a state champion, but what you really want to look at is what he did nationally. That was what was more impressive. He repped Team USA at the World Cross Country Championships, and he placed 25th overall and helped the U20 team win a bronze medal. And then he finished first place by a huge margin at the Champs Nationals in San Diego. And then he was fourth place at the Nike Cross Nationals. And he was at his best for the big postseason meets, which is really every high school runner's dream, is making it to those heights,
No doubt.
Absolutely, and he really stood out from a great group of runners when you factor in the 3 seniors from the California powerhouse Newberry Park, including Nike Cross champion Aaron Solomon, and Utah's Daniel Simmons had an incredible season with the national #1 time at the 3-mile distance.
Yeah, you could look at some of these times, amazing all the way across the country, but only one player from this group or one runner from this group can say he was both an individual state and national champion, and that is Cole Matheson, headed to the University of Colorado. Congratulations to you, Cole, your boys cross country runner of the year. Let's talk about some of the most impressive multi-sport athletes in the country. I'm talking about track and field. Christine, didn't you played, right?
I did. It was Title IX was just beginning, so you can imagine not quite the quality we have today. But I did some running, relays in the 400, grueling, it. Small high school, I also did a little discus and shot. And as I said, wasn't anything to write home about, but it sure was a lot of fun. But seriously, Ryan, some of these big level track events have really become must-see TV.
Oh, well, yeah, 100%, absolutely. And we're going to start here with the girls and take a look at our top 25 for girls track and field this year. This is a super talented and diverse group all around. But speaking of must-see, Christine, this year's girls track and field athlete of the year is a showstopper herself. This is Shanti Jackson.
Yeah, Shanti is just a sensational sprinter with multiple national records set indoors. And then after this past season, we can also credit her with the country's fastest outdoor 100-meter dash as well. And that sprint was against a professional field, too, at the Music City Track Carnival in Nashville. She ran 100 meters in 10.89 seconds. And for context, that matches the fastest ever recorded time in the world for under 18 girls.
Wow.
So it's no exaggeration to say that Shanti Jackson is one of the fastest girls on the planet in her age group.
And to say she had a record day at North Carolina's 2A state championship meet would not be doing her justice. Shanti broke meet records in all 4 events that she competed in, including the anchor leg of South Granville's 4x200 meter relay team. And her 3 individual sprint titles all produced top 10 U.S. time.
Yeah, I don't think I would have stood a chance against Shanti. I'm just saying.
I don't think anybody could or did. It was a career year indeed. She's heading to the University of Arkansas, so they're super lucky to be getting a budding superstar here in the coming months, Barrett.
Hey, honorable mention, though, to Irene Riggs, this year's national cross-country winner for the girls. She literally went the distance in claiming 3 West Virginia outdoor track titles as well. And then you got Utah's Jane Hindegren and California's Sadie Engelhardt. and they're a pair of rising juniors to watch after making noise at their respective state meets. So there's more to come from them, I'm sure.
Absolutely. And we really can't say enough, though, about Shanti Jackson. That's your girls track and field athlete of the year. So big congratulations and good luck to her. All right, up next, let's talk boys track and field. And I feel like I have to start with this one unbelievable stat we came across. One of our nominees, he's a high jumper that can clear the bar at 7 feet 4 inches.
What? Who's that?
That is Ryan Rankin. He's from Brunswick High School in Georgia. I mean, Barrett, you're pretty tall. You're not 7 feet tall, but how tall are you?
I mean, he could clear me convincingly. I'm 6'4", so okay. I would be very easy to jump over.
Yeah, I'm shorter than you. It'd be like him stepping over a parking cone, basically, hopping over my head.
Well, while Ryan is a notable nominee on our top 25 for National Boys Track and Field, there's a lot of other strong, versatile athletes on the list, like Connor Burns from Missouri. He's a distance runner. And on the straightaway, track and football standout Roderick Pleasant clocked a state record 100-meter dash at the California State Championships.
Yeah, Roderick actually won this award last year, so it's cool to see him back on here again. But this year's Boys Track and Field Athlete of the Year is Simeon Birnbaum, a senior from Stevens High School in South Dakota.
Pick your distance, Ryan, because Birnbaum had it covered this season. This is wild. Listen to this.
Yep.
Birnbaum finished the year ranked number 1 nationally in the 1,500, the 1,600, the 3,000, the 3,200, the mile run, and the 2-mile run.
My word.
All of those distances, that's absolutely unheard of.
Yeah.
And the icing on the cake, he swept 3 individual distance titles during the South Dakota State Championships as well.
And later, he went on to capture the 1,500-meter and 1-mile gold medals at the Nike Nationals.
And no surprise at all, he's headed to the mecca of track and field, the University of Oregon. Sounds like he's got a really bright future ahead of him.
Yeah, he does for sure. Congrats one more time to Simeon Birnbaum, your Boys Track and Field Athlete of the Year. All right, Christine, I'm going to let you serve up this next award because I think this is another one that you actually played in high school,
Okay,
right?
Ryan, but what are we talking about here? Tennis, volleyball? You know, I played 6 sports in high school, so there's a lot of options. It was a different time, and people didn't care as much about girls' sports, and you didn't specialize. And so I was able to play 6 sports, 2 in each season. I loved them all. I really enjoyed sports so much, and it was a great opportunity. And I don't, what girls didn't have back then, we celebrate, what girls have now.
How did you have time for all that? I mean, I played 1 and barely had time for that.
Well, you did the time management, which of course every athlete specializes in. But there wasn't the coaching or the practicing that girls have now. So obviously that's one of the things we're obviously celebrating here is what girls have now versus what happened back then.
But we're going to have to come back to this. 6 sports. Yeah. That's a lot to unpack right there. And this is actually, the one we're about to talk about is one of your guesses. It's volleyball.
Hey.
It's volleyball.
Well, looking at this year's girls volleyball top 25, this list really has its fair share of big hitters and even a few All-Americans. Mm-hmm. But it also has some girls who represented the Team USA under 19 team and won gold at the 2022 Pan American Cup in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Yeah, it's an accomplished group for sure. And this year, the award is going to a standout performer who's going to be really fun to root for at the next level. Our girls volleyball player of the year is Harper Murray, a senior outside hitter from Skyline High School in Michigan.
Ryan, this is a super sweet story because Harper's father, Veda, actually passed away from lung cancer when she was only 6 years old. But she plans to honor him by wearing the number 27 as a member of the University of Nebraska women's volleyball team because her father wore the same number as a football player in Michigan.
I love that. That just gives me chills.
Yeah, how could it not, right? It's awesome. Bear, tell us a little bit more about Harper's volleyball career.
Well, for starters, and the most obvious, she was named Gatorade's National Player of the Year and Michigan's Miss Volleyball as well. So those pretty much speak for themselves. Absolutely. But Murray was just an all-around force. I got it right here. She averaged 6 kills per set. I think she finished with almost 700 kills on the season to complement her 372 digs, 73 aces, and 38 blocks.
And she finished her high school career with over 2,400 kills and 1,400 digs.
Yeah, Harper no doubt deserved to walk away with this award, but we have to give an honorary shout out to a couple of her close contenders like Olivia Babcock from Sierra Canyon out in California. Bergen Riley's another one from Sioux Falls, South Dakota. She's actually a setter who got called up to the U.S. Olympic level team this year. Super rare for high school.
Wow, that's really impressive for Bergen.
Yeah, definitely. Big congrats again to Harper Murray, your girls volleyball player of the year. Okay, what's next?
Boys volleyball?
Boys volleyball?
I think it's boys volleyball, Ryan.
All right, let's just get right into it. Here's a look at our top 25 in, wait for it, boys volleyball.
Ryan, I feel like the best of the best in this sport typically comes from California, but there is definitely some tough competition this year, and from Illinois, Florida, and you can never count out Hawaii. And we really need to keep an eye out next year for some of these players, like rising senior Sean Kelly out of Los Angeles. He's already among the best players in the country, and he's already committed to Princeton. And heading to the next level, one to watch out for is Ohio State-bound William McElveen, as he was a stud of a setter and just an all-around elite player this season.
Yeah, well, speaking of the best coming out of California, that's definitely true of this year's winner, because our boys volleyball player of the year is Luca Curci, a senior outside hitter from Newport Harbor High School in California. Christine, can you tell us a little bit about Luca?
Oh, my pleasure, Ryan. I think this was a monumental year for Luca and his team because they managed to bring home back-to-back state championships. He was named a first-team All-American and California's Southern Section Co-Player of the Year while helping lead his team to a 36-2 record this season. Now, individually, he finished the season with a total of 495 kills, and 17 of those were in the state championship game alone. He also recorded 131 digs. How about these numbers? 59 blocks and 48 service aces for Newport Harbor.
And it looks like he's staying in SoCal and will continue playing at UCLA.
I'm telling you something about volleyball in California in the sport, boys volleyball. So let's give it up one more time for Luca Curci, your boys volleyball player of the year.
Sports demonstrate the best in all of us. The lessons learned from playing sports can hold true as we grow. The friends made last a lifetime, and the moments captured will never be forgotten. But as we all know, those opportunities are not the same for everybody. But for more than 50 years, the Special Olympics have asked us to overcome our fear of difference and replace it with the power of inclusion. And many high schools across the country have adopted this ideology, allowing athletes of all abilities to join the team and to experience the joy and fellowship that comes from simply being a part of a team, or making the winning basket, or crossing the finish line. And with the support of the Special Olympics, we are honored to share the accomplishments of a truly extraordinary young athlete in person, Callie Olmacher, a junior from Sandusky High School in Ohio, who is much more than an athlete and, like Special Olympics, so much more than sports.
Callie is 18 years old. She is a senior at Sandusky High School. She is on the girls bowling team and in unified sports. She does all the unified sports that Sandusky has. She's been fighting from day one. She had a lot of medical problems when she was born. Did all kinds of testing on her, and they fished her chromosomes. And they found out that she has 22q. She's missing part of her number 22 chromosome. That basically affects everything from head to toe. Your immune system, digestive system, heart, lungs, kidneys. She was like one of 14 that they knew of in the United States that had 22q.
I had Callie in kindergarten and in first grade, and then again in third grade.
I met Callie in second grade through sixth grade as her intervention specialist. And from this little girl that we had, that we saw up until sixth grade, blossom into this young lady and being able to do all the things that we didn't think she would be around to do, it just warms your heart.
Unified Champion Schools is a program that brings together students both with and without intellectual disabilities, and together build connections throughout the whole school year through sports and other activities, whole school engagement, and bridge connections, build new friendships, and include each other in new activities.
Allie and I, we do track together and we do some other sports. Do you want to tell them what you play?
I play unified basketball, flag football, and unified polo.
She would ask me
every day when unified sports, like when our practices were.
She brings an excitement to bowling. She always tries to do her best.
Just last year, she came to me and said, I want to make varsity. And I said, keep that goal because we're going to achieve it.
She's just a true pleasure to have on our bowling squad.
She has a great heart. I love that girl to death.
I want to make an impact of inclusion to spread it around the world, to get everyone involved.
Callie and Anisha are just light together. They are a unified pair here in Sandusky.
So Callie and I, as unified partners and best friends, we like to spread our message about why inclusion is important and how it makes us feel.
Callie taught me that kids in particular, and especially, students and individuals with disabilities who sometimes you may think have limitations, they don't.
Over the past year, these girls started off with USA Games. They came back, became health messengers for the state of Ohio. Then they wanted to create this unified club within the school, get the whole school involved, decided to do a basketball event. And then from that, they also went to Capitol Hill, not only like a week later after that event, and came back and they're like, we want to go to Berlin for the World Games. We want to be on the global youth experience on that level.
What were your favorite parts about the summit?
My favorite part about the summit was fun because you can meet different people from different countries.
Yeah, we met a whole bunch of people from all over the world, and we all got to share our ideas about inclusion and how we can spread it in our nations and our hometowns everywhere.
Cultivating the next unified generation.
Yep, we are part of the unified generation, and our campaign is we want to spread the inclusion revolution all over the world.
Watching her impact and her growth in Germany at the Global Youth Leadership Summit was something that was truly incredible to see.
What's the roll call dance?
We learned it in Germany.
Yeah, we learned the roll call dance at the Global Youth Leadership Summit in Berlin, Germany. And it was a dance we did before every session to just get the energy up.
Callie left her mom shy. She left her family shy. And when we returned her, honey, she was not shy.
She's just a determined young lady that has blossomed since she has been a part of Special Olympics. And I appreciate Special Olympics for everything they have done for Callie and been there for her.
She is the only student that I have her picture in my computer lab up with me because every day I look at her and I'm grateful she's still with us.
What does it mean for you to have a person whose life you helped raise go on to do these things?
Seeing her travel the world, jealous of the child that she has become.
She is a fighter. She is just an absolute joy to be around. She's infectious with her laughter.
Yeah, so we were in our hotel room practicing what we would say to members of Congress, because, that's a really big deal, right? That's a nervous, really? Yeah. And we were like, okay, let's practice. And all of a sudden, we just, yeah. And it gets out all the nerves.
And recently, they applied to be U.S. Youth Ambassadors for Special Olympics, and they got accepted.
We've both grown so much since we started being involved in the unified generation and the inclusion revolution. I think we've grown a whole lot. We've grown closer, we've grown as people, and most importantly, our voices have grown.
She's advocating for the ones that can't speak for themselves. We don't know her life expectancy, and look at her now. She's just shining.
Such an inspiring story for us all. And congratulations again to Callie, our Special Olympics Athlete of the Year.
You're watching the USA Today High School Sports Awards. All right, we ready to talk girls lacrosse? It's a sport I didn't get to play in high school. Cydney, were you a high school lacrosse star?
Absolutely not. Lacrosse is no joke. That's why I am in the studio here today.
Yeah, and our girls lacrosse players were a part of some serious high-scoring games And some of our nominees, like Caroline Ling in Ohio, broke a few records to say the least and had over 150 goals in just one season this past year.
Wow. See, no joke. I'm telling you guys, I feel bad for those defenders and goaltenders who had to go against that offense. So props to you guys.
Yep, that is a lot of goals right there. And speaking of that, let's see our top 25 for girls lacrosse. And the girls lacrosse player of the year is Chloe Humphrey, a senior from Darien High School in Connecticut. Now, Cydney, Chloe was on the national radar early on this season after she was named the #1 recruit in the class of 2023 by Inside Lacrosse, and she then more than lived up to that hype.
And she helped elevate her team as they took #1 in the Nike USA Lacrosse National Top 25 rankings and held that all year during their first ever undefeated season. And Chloe, our girl, the real MVP, helped her team close on the Class L state title when she scored with only 1 minute left in the final game. And Barrett, didn't they end up winning 14-13 over New Canaan in that championship game?
Yeah, they did. And Humphrey wound up scoring on over 70% of her shots. And of that, she finished in just this past season with 103 goals and 38 assists. And those numbers helped her earn National Player of the Year honors from USA Lacrosse.
That's a super impressive resume from our girls lacrosse player of the year, Chloe Humphrey. Congratulations, Chloe. Cydney, do you know what the oldest organized sport in North America actually is?
Is it polo, baseball? You have me stumped there.
Those are really good guesses, actually. But believe it or not, boys lacrosse.
Wow.
Yeah. Apparently lacrosse evolved from a type of stickball game played as far back as like the 1600s, Barrett.
Stickball?
Yeah, stickball.
Man, I remember playing that in the backyard with my buddies.
Yeah. Didn't we all? Right? But hey, we'll continue with the history lessons some other time. This is the High School Sports Awards. Let's meet our top 25 in boys lacrosse. And the boys lacrosse player of the year is Matt Jeffery, a junior midfielder from Cheshire High School in Connecticut. And Jeffery was just an absolute force from the midfield for Cheshire this season, Cydney.
Yeah, he had some unbelievable stats this year. I'm just going to name a few. Matt finished the season with 55 goals and 42 assists. Insane. And in the postseason, he had 4 goals in the state quarterfinals. He scored the game-winning goal in the conference final, and I'm not done yet. He had 6 goals and 2 assists in the state final. He was also the state player of the year and a 2-time All-American. And guys, he's just a junior and has 1 more year left. That's crazy.
Not done yet.
Seriously. And he's actually heading into his senior season ranked as the #2 overall recruit for the class of 2024 by Inside Lacrosse. And #1 according to the National Lacrosse Federation rankings. So that's just huge for him.
Yeah, and that's huge. Probably helped bring him up over the top of some of our other nominees. We could talk about A.J. Marsh, defender for McDonough School in Maryland, had a huge season. And even Owen Duffy, he was just named the National Player of the Year by USA Lacrosse, so obviously Owen killed it as well. But exciting road ahead, no doubt, for Jeffrey, who's actually already committed to Notre Dame. They just won the national NCAA Division I title. So let's give it up for Matt Jeffrey, your boys lacrosse player of the year. Congratulations, Matt. All right, it's time to talk field hockey.
Hey, you know what? This is another one of my 6 sports.
Of course it was. Yeah, you were busy in high school, right? Actually, Christine, I covered this sport for many years back in the day. This one, people might not know how technical this sport is, right? The girls are super skilled. You can only touch the ball with a certain part of your stick as you're running down the field. If you don't, the whistle blows. If the ball touches your foot, the whistle blows, right? I honestly, covering the games, I didn't know why the whistle was blowing half the time, to be honest.
I'll let you in on a little secret. I didn't know either. I played for 4 years. No, it's arcane. There are some rules, and they make sense. Some of them, obviously. Some, I think a lot of the players have no idea. But they're okay, the ref is in charge. Ref blew the whistle, and we'll do whatever she or he says, and we'll move on. But it is intricate and arcane. But of course, I think that in many ways that's the allure of the sport for the people that love it.
Yeah. Nonetheless, let's take a look at our top 25. These players are still super fun to watch despite all those crazy rules, and especially our field hockey player of the year. That's Olivia Bent-Cole, a senior midfielder from Camden Catholic High School in New Jersey. Barrett, tell us a little bit about Olivia.
It's definitely been a whirlwind year for her. She led Camden Catholic to the school's first field hockey state championship since 1985, and then she was placed on the USA Field Hockey Under-21 Women's National Team. And for Team USA, she actually played alongside Riley Heck, who you remember won it last year for us.
Yeah, Riley.
So, you know, that's pretty cool that they got to play on the same team together. And they've also got to travel to some pretty cool places. I know they got to go to Argentina a few months back. Like, that's just got to be so much fun. For sure.
And Olivia was also listed as MaxfieldHockey.com's #1 recruit before the season even started. And by the end of the year, she was officially named the site's National Player of the Year.
Yeah, she lived up to the hype, and she's going to be playing collegiately at Northwestern.
Ryan, we also have a couple of shout outs here too.
Yeah.
Senior Tyler Everslage, Kentucky's Miss Field Hockey. She scored 50 goals this season and is headed to play at the University of Louisville. And another shout out to Macy Bradford, a finalist for this award from last year. And this year, she was both a first team All-American and the Delaware Player of the Year. She's headed to the University of Maryland.
Yeah, best of luck to both of those athletes. And congratulations once again to our Field Hockey Player of the Year, Olivia Ben-Cole. Now let's turn our attention to golf.
You play a little bit of golf, don't you, Ryan?
I love the sport. What I'm doing out there, it's not exactly golf. It's more like, you know, losing a whole box of balls in the woods. But I do love the sport.
Well, maybe if you can get it down to maybe just losing a sleeve around, you'll get better. You'll get to where I'm at.
Oh, okay. So you're a player. We're not going to talk about that anymore. But thankfully, this group of nominees, they don't need a box of balls. They just need probably one to get around the course. Super impressive. Let's meet our very talented top 25 in girls golf. And the girls golfer of the year is Sophie Linder, a senior from Gordonsville High School in Tennessee, Barrett.
Ryan, I'll tell you what, this is an athlete who undoubtedly made a name for herself as one of the greatest high school golfers in the state of Tennessee's history. This year, she took home her 4th Division 1A individual championship, and I believe she's the 4th person ever to sweep the state tournament from her freshman year to her senior year.
Yeah, to win a tournament like that against all those golfers, the top in the state all 4 years, super impressive.
Yeah, I mean, she even won this year's title in comeback fashion. She birdied the 18th hole to force a playoff, and then in the playoff hole, she birdied again to win state. She ended up finishing the 2-round tournament 8 under par, and get this, she carded the low round of the tournament with a 63. And Ryan, a 63, that's like what you would shoot 9 holes, right?
Yeah. Enough ragging on me. Cydney, why don't you tell us a little bit more about some of these nominees we had?
Sophie was definitely a standout, but there was some intense competition when you consider Bren Court, just a sophomore who shot a 12 under par total at the Nevada State Championships. Elizabeth Rudisil broke a longtime state tournament record out in North Carolina, and Minnesota State champion Reese McCauley was another near the top of the list. And believe it or not, all 3 of these girls still have eligibility and are going to be back competing for their high school next season.
Yeah, we're definitely going to be looking forward to keeping an eye on this group. But one more big shout out to this year's Girls Golfer of the Year, headed for Ole Miss, Sophie Linder. Congrats, Sophie. And now we're moving on to boys golf. And don't worry, we're not going to talk about how bad I am or we are at this sport, but we are going to talk about how freaking awesome this group of top 25 athletes are as we take a look at the list, Barrett.
Yeah, some of these players we followed this season were just unbelievable. I mean, we're looking at, several tournament cards in the low 60s, 15 under, 16 under. And we look at our top 25 for boys golf. This group is by far some of the highest ranked junior golfers in America.
You know what I love most about this sport, Barrett?
Getting a brand new box of Pro V1s.
I don't know. I'm not buying Pro V1s. Those are too expensive and too nice a ball. But no, it's that any golfer can rise up from the group. It's not always going to be the favorite or the best junior golfer or whatever. It could be anybody. But let's talk about this one player in particular that rose to the top. It's our boys golfer of the year, Kihei Akina, a sophomore from Lone Peak High School out in Utah.
Utah?
Yeah, Utah. Cold weather state. You might not expect that, Cydney, but Lone Park High School has a little golf dynasty out there. They've taken the 6A state title 5 years in a row, and this year they actually even beat out the tournament record with a ridiculous 43 under par as a group.
Wow, and I'm sure Kihei's back-to-back rounds of 64 definitely helped. Of that 43 under par, he himself was 16 under and tied the state's low medalist record.
I mean, and he won last year, too. He shot 8 under par, and he repeated winning the state tournament last year, and he doubled his finish from last year to this year, going 16 under. Hell of an improvement for him.
I've never been to Utah. Seems like a beautiful state. I'm going to look up Kihei, see if I can get some lessons.
I mean, me too. I mean, but the thing is, Kihei's nowhere near done yet. He's still got 2 years left.
What's really impressive is to win this National Golfer of the Year award, he had to beat out last year's national winner, and that was Aaron Pounds, who plays for another golf powerhouse. This went out in the Woodlands, Texas. Aaron shot 16 under par himself at his own state tournament, and he's committed now to Texas A&M. So definitely a tight race between these two. Congrats to Aaron on another great season. But with those 2 tournament records, the team and individual one, I mean, you have to give it up to Kihei Akina. He's your boys golfer of the year. Big congratulations to him. All right, let's keep things rolling. Literally, we're about to talk girls bowling. Barrett, you must be like an expert bowler.
No, I use the kitty bumpers when I bowl. Like, it's Cydney's the one that's got to be the bowler, right?
I'm with you on this one, Barrett. I need the bumpers too.
I don't believe that, Cydney. I'm sure you're awesome at bowling. I mean, if I get a 100, makes my day, makes my week. You know, if I get a bowl of 100. The good news is our top 25 in girls bowling, their scores speak for themselves. Let's take a look at the list. The girls bowler of the year is Eliana Okino, a sophomore from Christian Brothers Academy in New York. Cydney, what do you think set Eliana apart from some of these other top 25 nominees?
Well, for starters, she literally just missed New York's individual state title last year as a freshman. But this year, she beat the next best bowler by 38 pins and even bowled a high game of 247 with an average of just over 227.
She got that ring, though.
Right? She did. And if that wasn't impressive enough, she also won a national competition at the U18 Storm Youth Championship in Louisiana this past month. And she even bowled at the U.S. Women's Open, where she faced the world's best women bowlers.
I mean, Eliana really had some stiff competition in this category and a few other close contenders. Another rising star in Annabelle Carter, who's a freshman. She became just the 3rd girl in New Jersey state tournament history to bowl a perfect game, so we'll definitely be looking out for her in the coming years. And we can't not shout out Lita Burgess from St. Charles, Illinois. She not only crushed it at state, but she represented Puerto Rico at the 22 Central American and Caribbean Championships, where she took home the gold in the sub-21 division.
Yeah, this is just an extremely talented group all around. We're talking about the U.S. Open, Puerto Rico. You know, these bowlers are doing things at the high school and beyond at those levels. Huge congratulations to all, but especially to New York's Eliana Okino, your girls bowler of the year. All right, we're switching lanes here. Now let's talk boys bowling.
I see what you did there.
Very clever, Ryan.
Yeah, you know, you guys know that was good. You know what that is? Professionalism. That's what that is.
Hey, I'm here for it. I thought it was funny. But before we announce the winner, we just wanted to shout out the great state of Iowa. This state is apparently the bowling mecca, where the 1, 2, and 3A state championship tournaments were all extremely competitive, and all 3 of those individual title holders are in our boys' top 25 nominee list for Bowler of the Year. Athletes like Adam Denny, Trey Van Dyke, and Jackson Satterley all put on shows at their respective state tournaments this year.
Yeah, you're right, Barrett. However, the boys' bowler of the year is none other than Kendrick Siders, a senior from Eagle River High School, not in Iowa, but Alaska. Now, consistency was obviously the key for Siders this year, especially when you're considering all that impressive talent in the Midwest. But he had an extremely remarkable per game average of over 238, and that average actually broke the state record and earned him Alaska Bowler of the Year honor, Cydney.
Yeah, I mean, that's a tough average for anyone to contend with in general, and especially in a tournament setting. But looking back at his regular season, he had a near perfect high game of 296, and he's also had the state's top 2 game score of 547. His high school team overall had an undefeated season, losing only 1 individual game, but not a single match all year. That is something to definitely be proud of.
And then he rolled all that momentum all the way out to Las Vegas and into the Storm Youth Championships, where he finished first in the U18 boys division. And how cool, bowled his first sanctioned perfect 300 game. I mean, that'll do it.
So what's next for him?
He's going to the great state of Iowa, and he's going to St. Ambrose University.
Well, there you have it. Iowa is apparently where it's at.
Yeah, more Iowa powerhouse bowling to come, probably in the coming years. But first, let's give it up to Alaska one more time. And congrats again to your boys bowler of the year, Kendrick Siders.
Sports often provide the canvas for amazing stories to be told. There's extraordinary plays, record-breaking victories, unexpected triumphs, and even heartbreaking losses. But not all of these unforgettable moments are in front of a crowd or even take place on a field or court. And it's not always a show of outer or physical strength that leaves a mark on our hearts either. Sometimes it's within the spirit of sport that we see the true actions of bravery, comeback, or dedication. It could be overcoming an ever-changing series of trials, a split-second show of resilience, or the decision to rise above fear in the face of despair. That's the true meaning of courage. And every day, high school students across the country face adversity, physically, mentally, and emotionally, many of whom stand fast and rise to the challenge ahead. This year, we are honored to be partnering with USA Today's Humankind for our Courage Award, a storytelling platform whose mission is to share and celebrate the moments that make us closer, kinder, and stronger. The moments that make us human. And we are especially honored to present the Humankind Courage Award this year to Lucy Art, a swimmer from the University School of Milwaukee in Wisconsin who sustained serious injuries to her legs and wrists from a shark attack in Florida, but whose valor and determination to get back to the top truly embodies what it means to be courageous.
I loved swimming in the summer when I was younger, although I didn't really take it seriously until after my shark attack. I just saw the shape of the shark's head and just my hand right in the middle of the shark.
You could just see the bite marks on her leg.
Left a trail of blood all the way up to the lifeguard stand.
And to my coaching peers, it was also surprising, wow, your kid got hit by a shark, and what's up with that?
It was spring break, and my grandma has a house in Florida, so we were going down to visit her. The water was kind of up to my shoulders, so I could stand, but I also could swim around. Something hit, aggressively was hitting my legs, and then the next thing I remember, my hand was in the shark's mouth. I punched it off of me.
And we looked over, and Lucy was sort of doing something funny in the water, and we thought, oh, maybe she was stung by a man-o-war.
I couldn't comprehend it at first. And then when I looked down at my wrist, I was like, oh, I need to get to the lifeguard stand.
She's screaming, and she had her arm up in the air.
And thankfully, there was a doctor on the beach that day. The doctor was focused on my legs, and I knew that wasn't what I thought. I was gonna lose my hand.
She kept saying, my hand, is it attached to my body? Is my hand working? Before we left for spring break, she had just decided, I'm gonna go for it, I wanna swim in college. And then this all happened.
After flying home, one of my mom's friends is a hand surgeon. He specializes in upper extremities. He was like, we need to get you into surgery, emergency surgery, or else we won't be able to fix these tendons. 3 days later, I had to go into surgery, and I was really scared because I've never had surgery before, and it was kind of an exploratory surgery, so didn't really know what was gonna happen, but they said it'd be pretty quick, although it ended up not being quick.
Turned out surgery was a couple of hours, and he came back in, and he was like, I'm sorry, it was actually really severely damaged.
I found out that it actually severed 4 of my tendons, so 2 tendons in my thumb and 2 tendons in my wrist. That was why I couldn't move my thumb or wrist.
The shark had taken a little bite out of one of the tendons, so he had to stretch the tendon to the muscle.
But I think it was this particular event that really brought her to the pool, back to the pool, something that she wanted to do and get better at.
First time in the water, it was hard because I wasn't fully back to swimming normally. I was just kicking. I still had my splint on in the water.
She had to be very careful about her PT. She went 3 times a week, and it was minimal movements.
I just had to relearn how to swim with my right hand because it wasn't as loose as it was before. Just the technique was different and stuff like that. It was a lot of what if I didn't get attacked by a shark? Where would I have been then? So switching my mentality from that to it did happen to me, and look at where I am now. That was really hard, and still kind of is. A bump here because all my tendons are kind of on top of each other, and you can even
see kind of the stitches when it moves.
Her senior year was really outstanding, where she won the high school state meet, and for any kid in any state, when you do that, it's a super accomplishment, but it was quite surprising.
Lucy Art of Brown Deer University School in Milwaukee had the best seed time, 23:45. And she's trying to back that up with a win here, and it's going to be Art.
We looked up and like, oh my God, she won. You know, it was just such an emotional time. And I'm so proud of her and so happy that her story ended in such a positive way.
She just was able to go right through and win that state title.
When she won state, she realized that she was right where she wanted to be. It would have been hard if she didn't have a lot of successes. She would have always wondered what would have happened if the shark attack didn't happen.
Next year, I'm going to Colgate University. I'll be swimming there, and I'm super excited.
What an incredible journey and comeback. Lucy, we are wishing you all the best. Congratulations again to our Humankind Courage Award recipient, Lucy Art.
You're watching the USA Today High School Sports Awards. All right, now let's head to the pitch and talk girls soccer.
Soccer is one of those sports where some states play it in the fall and some play it during the winter and others in the spring. But fun fact for all of our viewers, the one thing all 50 states have in common is that they all do offer soccer as a state-sanctioned interscholastic sport. So that's pretty cool that this award is truly covering the best from all 50 states plus DC.
Yes, and we definitely have a solid group from all over. Here, let's take a look at our top 25 in girls soccer. And the girls soccer player of the year is Brittany Murphy, senior forward from Bearden High School in Tennessee.
Tennessee, represent. Sorry, I live here in Tennessee, so I just get excited for some home state representation.
Okay.
I'm also super excited for Brindley because this girl is just so good. It's been an absolute banner year for her, starting with the fact that she led Bearden to a 24-0 season. Yes, 24-0, undefeated. She helped lead her team to a second consecutive Tennessee Class 3A state championship back in October. Here's something even crazy for you as well. She hit the back of the net 41 times and ended her high school career with a record-breaking 110 goals.
Yeah, so it's no wonder why she was named the National Player of the Year by the United Soccer Coaches Association as well.
And we know that she's currently playing with the FC Alliance Soccer Club in Knoxville and is actually getting ready to join the defending SEC champion South Carolina Gamecocks coming this fall.
But also, let's give some love to her whole team at Bearden, too. They finished the season ranked number 1 in the United Soccer Coaches National Poll following their state championship this season. And apart from them, there were many other fantastic performers out there this year, especially a few players from the Southeast region, like Ivy Tolbert from Commerce High School in Georgia. She also posted an incredible 83 goals and 47 assists. Wow. So look out for Ivy in 2024 when she comes back for her senior season.
Incredible stats right there. Definitely an excellent season by all of those star athletes nominated for this award. But one more huge congratulations to Brindley Murphy, your girls soccer player of the year. All right, let's move over to the guys' side and talk boys soccer. Of course, we all know this is the world's favorite sport outside of the U.S., but I got to say it's definitely on the rise here too, isn't it, Barrett?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, in the last several years, with the meteoric rise of the MLS, and then you got the Women's World Cup coming up, there's just so much success to be shared with all these leagues right now. There's no doubt that some of these players we're about to talk about will go on to play in these leagues.
Well, let's get to know them here. Here's this year's top 25 in boys soccer. And the boys soccer player of the year is Vitor Giramel, a junior midfielder from Mays South High School in Kansas. Cydney, can you tell us a little bit more about Vitor's accomplishments from this past year?
Well, not only is he an overall just an incredible player, but he helped power his high school team to a perfect 21-0 record this season, and the Class 5A state championship, which I think is the first boys soccer title in their school's history.
Yep, that's correct.
He finished the year setting the single-season record with 42 goals and tied the all-time single-season record with 18 assists, too. Ryan, he's just an all-around, literally all-over-the-field player, and it was numbers like that helped him earn Class 5A Midfielder of the Year honors.
Yeah, and it was also numbers just like that made him stand out from some of our other strong top 25 players. like Lucas Almeida, the United Soccer Coaches Association National Player of the Year from Connecticut. Just a fantastic player and prospect. He's heading to UConn. And also, Barrett, another outstanding midfielder out in Maryland, Ben Medor. He's headed to Penn State.
I mean, that's just a long list of great athletes. And going back to Vidor, he's already committed to play with Clemson, and he still has one more year left to play in high school. And speaking of prepping to play in the big leagues, he's the youngest player to play for Sporting Wichita, and he's on their first team. You know, and Sporting Wichita is in the UPSL, and that's like a pretty good league.
Yeah, there's no doubt he's going to be taking it to the next level for sure. So big ups one more time to Vitor Giramel, your boys soccer player of the year. All right, we've been talking about the players. We've been talking about the plays. Now let's talk about the individuals that help make those great plays happen and help shape these great players we've been talking about, and that's the coaches.
Ryan, there's truly so much more that goes into coaching than just strategies, techniques, and practice. And our coaches this year truly go above and beyond on and off the fields and courts to make a difference and to make an impact.
And you know, it's been said, a good coach can change a game, but a great coach can change a life.
There you go, Barrett, with the old John Wooden quote, and it's absolutely right? This year's Girls Team Coach of the Year is nothing short of a great coach, and that is Crystal Johnson, the basketball coach from Hoover High School in Alabama.
Ryan, this is such a cool story because Coach Johnson has literally come full circle, and it's one of those student becomes the teacher type situations.
No doubt.
You know, she graduated from where she's now coaching at Hoover, where she won a 2001 state title in basketball, and you know, she graduated was one of the most decorated players to ever come from Hoover, being the second all-time leading scorer in school history. And then, you know, after high school, she went on to play at UCLA and then came back home again and finished out her collegiate career at Alabama.
And then she truly came home to Hoover to coach, first as the JV coach for 5 years before moving on and eventually coming back as the head varsity coach in 2016. Fast forward to now, Johnson's girls basketball program is celebrating its most dominant stretch in school history with 3. Yes, you heard it right. 3 consecutive Class 7A state titles.
I mean, clearly, all she does is win.
Yeah, no matter what, just cue DJ Khaled right there.
And she already has 300 wins under her belt. That's pretty impressive, and it sounds like many more to come.
Yeah, 300 wins is definitely impressive, but this had to be a close call when you have standout coaches across the nation. And, you know, one, Suzanne Marble, a volleyball coach out in Washington. She's retiring after 30 seasons on the bench. She finished with 558 wins, 7 state championships, including the last 4 straight. Her final state title was one of 3 she shared with her daughter, Ellie, on the team. I'm sure that was super special for them. Also, Coach Michelle Reichenstein out of Lake Creek High School, the softball team in Texas. Her team posted a remarkable 85-1 record over the past 2 seasons, including a pair of state titles and a national championship. So, like Suzanne Marble, Coach Reichenstein is stepping down to watch her kids compete in college. Super special.
Yeah, it's just a great list of coaches to name right there. I mean, Reichenstein, the Lake Creek softball team was our team of the year last year.
Yep.
And she followed it up with another state championship and a #1 national ranking.
Yeah, definitely. So congratulations once again to our girls team coach of the year, Crystal Johnson. Okay, we're still talking coaches, part 2, with the boys team coach of the year. Barrett, did you have a high school coach who really meant a lot to you?
Yeah, shout out to Coach Akins. You know, my high school football coach, my mentor, and basically my second dad. I talk to him all the time.
Your second dad, that's super special that you still talk to your coach from high school. And our coach of the year is just as special. Let's meet the winner. The boys team coach of the year is Ken Leonard, football coach from Sacred Heart Griffin High School in Illinois. This is one of those stories where literally the stars aligned in the most miraculous way for Leonard and his team this season, Cydney.
Okay, this is wild. In his 500th and final game, because Coach Leonard had already announced his plans to retire after the season, his team sent him out in style, grabbing one more state championship win from him.
Well, it's no coincidence. He literally is the winningest high school football coach in Illinois state history. He coached exactly 500 games, and of those 500, 419 were dubs. That's unreal. And if I'm thinking through this correctly, there's like 14, 15 games in one season if you make it all the way to the state title?
No, I'm definitely not a big math guy. That's why I studied journalism in college. But, you know, I think I'm following it. That's not only a crazy amount of football games, but in like an unbelievable number of seasons to coach. Like, I can't even wrap my head around that.
Right? I mean, it was something like 43 seasons in total that he coached. And anyone who has played or coached high school football knows the time these guys put in between practice, film, weights, preparation, checking in with the athletes off the field, and in most cases, other full-time job commitments. That all highlights the dedication of this man had for the kids out in Springfield, Illinois. And speaking of kids, Coach Leonard's son, Derek, coaches at crosstown rival school Rochester High, and he's already won 8 state titles of his own, and that's actually 2 more than his old man.
What a legacy. But hey, maybe Coach Leonard has 2 more seasons left in him to catch up.
Yeah, maybe.
And maybe this award will trigger a return and he'll come out of retirement. But if not, we've got some exciting contenders to keep an eye on for next year, since Coach Leonard sadly won't be coaching anymore.
Yeah, there's an impressive list growing across the country. One of them, a soccer coach, Frank Zamora. He guided Johnson High School to a 21-0 record this year. Since he became the coach during the 2019-20 season, the Knights have posted a 68-6-2 record, back-to-back champions, and are now riding a 27-game win streak, Barrett.
Yeah, and we definitely have to throw out an honorable mention to Westlake High School boys golf coach Callan Noakes out of Austin, Texas, who also announced his retirement in May, and his players promptly sent him off in style too, as the Class 6A state champions for the 6th straight year.
For all of our high school coaches out there, thanks for all you do, and congratulations again and happy retirement to a living legend, Ken Leonard, your boys team coach of the year. Okay, things are finally starting to cool off a little bit. It's getting a little chilly in here. Let's talk girls hockey.
This is really exciting to be bringing this sport to the table, Ryan, because the winner of this award will be the first ever girls hockey player of the year.
Yeah, you're right. Hockey has actually been a co-ed award the past 2 years, so this is definitely a nod to the growth this sport has seen for women at all levels.
Yeah, and I'm definitely pumped. I love this sport, so I'm honored to showcase the inaugural Top 25, and the girls hockey player of the year is Riley Bartz, a senior forward from War Road High School in Minnesota. Barrett, what brought Riley to the top of this list, you think?
It's been a brilliant 2-year stretch for Bartz, no doubt. She ended her junior year last year as North Dakota's leading scorer, and now her senior year is the top scorer in Minnesota. And, check out these bullet points here. She had 10 game-winning goals, 10 hat tricks, and 17 multi-goal games. And she continued with that same caliber through the postseason with 10 points in 3 playoff games to help War Road win the Class A state title. So she's going to be continuing her hockey career at the University of St. Thomas.
She's such a fun player to watch and really made herself stand out this year, even against some of the other great stories from our top nominees as well. Like another rock star, goalie Zoe Campbell from Anchorage, Alaska. She had 11 shutouts and truly anchored Diamond High School's state championship run. And get this, she also doubled as a starting goalie for the boys hockey team. How cool and empowering is that?
Yeah, I love Zoe's story and just want to give a huge shout out to all of our fantastic inaugural girls hockey nominees. Really exciting stuff. And congrats again to your girls hockey player of the year, Riley Bartz. All right, we're still talking hockey. Let's glide over to our boys hockey player of the year.
I mean, here's the big question, Ryan. Will somebody finally knock off Minnesota? Because for the past 2 years, the hockey players of the year have both hailed from the land of 10,000 lakes.
Yeah, that's the birthright of hockey, I think, Minnesota. Apparently all those lakes, they just turn frozen solid in the winter. And then it's like a hockey haven out there, hockey paradise right in your backyard if you're a Minnesotan. And I'm actually moving to Minnesota in a few months. And you bet my son, he's obsessed. Every time he sees a hockey highlight, he goes, hockey! So we'll be getting him on skates as soon as possible.
Hey, maybe he'll be our 2038 boys hockey player of the year and keep the Minnesota tradition alive.
You never know, man. But first, let's take a look at this year's top 25 for boys hockey. And the boys hockey player of the year is Jason Shagabe, a senior forward from, you're never going to believe this.
You're kidding.
War Road High School in Minnesota City.
Same school.
But for real, 3 Minnesota winners in a row?
Yeah, I mean, there must be something in the water in those lakes again.
Well, nonetheless, there's a bright future ahead for Jason, who was recently selected by the Tampa Bay Lightning in the 4th round of the 2023 NHL Draft, straight out of high school.
Yeah, he's no joke. Even at such a young age, he's got incredible vision and playmaking ability. He had 8 game-winning goals this season for his high school team, who finished the regular season undefeated. And he overall led the state of Minnesota in assists with 63, adding 33 goals for 96 total points on the season.
Yeah, definitely no surprise that Jason was named Minnesota Mr. Hockey, and he was also the 2023 Minnesota Associated Press Player of the Year, Barrett.
And also no surprise that we did for real have just a few key nominees outside of the state of Minnesota.
For sure.
Some big shot players like Charlie Hughes, Ohio's Mr. Hockey, who scored a state record 4 goals in the state title game to cap off a fantastic season. Or even Nicky Romeo out of New York, who went off this season for 54 goals and 48 assists. And he was named the state's Division I Player of the Year.
Yeah, all of our nominees for this award this year were about as good as it gets, but this one, of course, goes out to the guy who fittingly broke NHL star TJ Oshie's program record for total points at War Road High. That's Jason Shagabe, your boys hockey player of the year. Congrats, Jason. Okay, you all ready for this next one? It's a sport that honestly doesn't get talked about enough across the country, and that's gymnastics.
I totally agree, Ryan. This sport is so dynamic. If you've never been to a gymnastics meet, you should. They are intense. I mean, no matter what kind of sports you're into, who wouldn't be entertained watching these athletes literally defy the laws of gravity?
Yeah, I've actually covered some of these gymnastics meets in the past in person. No kidding. Super intense. And that's an understatement. So let's give these athletes some much-deserved love and check out our top 25 in gymnastics. And the Gymnast of the Year is Marissa Ashton, a senior from Buford High School in Georgia. Cydney, what made Marissa stand out?
I think one of her biggest accomplishments this season that put her on top was posting a perfect 10 floor routine during Georgia's Class 6A, 7A state championship meet.
Yeah, that was definitely a highlight for sure. But also, you have to give props to her finishes on the bars and beam. That, with her perfect floor routine, brought her all-around total to 39.575 out of 40.
And all that helped lead Buford to a state championship, actually a repeat state championship. And I believe that got the program to 5 all-time state titles.
And we know that Marissa will be competing next year at San Jose State, so we're really excited to see what the future holds for her, especially over these next few years.
But Ryan, I also have to shout out Indiana State champion Gabriella Grisafi.
For sure.
She's headed to Kentucky after helping her program win a state record 14th team championship. And also Cody Midbow out in Louisiana. This is a co-ed award after all, as a handful of states do sanction boys gymnastics championships.
Well, congrats to all, Gabriella, Cody, all of these nominees. You're all incredible athletes, but let's give it up one more time for our Gymnast of the Year, Marissa Ashton. All right, now let's head over to the mat and talk wrestling. Starting with the girls, here are our top 25 for this year's Girls Wrestler of the Year.
Ryan, just taking a look at this list, there are multiple girl wrestlers across the country that have not only had undefeated seasons, but entirely undefeated careers. And some of these women have even won 4 to 5 state titles. That's some consistent talent.
No doubt.
Yeah, and if they don't already have those 4 to 5 state titles, they're well on their way, being that more than half of our nominees are still freshmen and sophomores. You know, wrestlers like Piper Fowler from Tennessee, who's already a 2-time state title winner at Cleveland, or Jasmine Robinson from Allen, Texas, who's already won 3 state titles and still has a shot for 1 more next season.
Yeah, it was definitely a close call between those two and our winner this year, but the one that came out on top was Audrey Jimenez, a junior and 3-time state champion from Sunnyside High School in Arizona. Audrey was actually one of our finalists and top contenders for this award last year, Cindy, but especially this season proved time and time again that she was one of the best.
But not just against the girls, Ryan. She actually wrestled mostly against boys during the season and became the first woman to win a weight class in the 56-year history of the Peoria Tournament of Champions. Something slight. And then followed that up with a championship at the U.S. Open in Las Vegas and grabbed her second title at the U20 National Championships in Spokane. This girl has been busy.
Well, and just at her high school alone, she won the girls' state championship after an undefeated season and capped off her junior year with a fall just 90 seconds into the match. And this was against somebody who hadn't had a loss all season. And Ryan, if she keeps riding this wave, she'll have no problem making the Olympic team in 2024.
Yeah, there you heard it, Audrey. No pressure, but we know you got this. Good luck in your senior season, and congrats again. That's your Girls Wrestler of the Year. All right, flipping over now to boys wrestling. The Midwest has been known as the powerhouse for wrestling for a long time, and it still holds true for this past season. In terms of college commitments, I think half of our nominees are going to find their way to the Big Ten Conference. And our top 25 in boys wrestling just this year is no doubt holding the next batch of Olympic and national champions, Barrett.
Yeah, Ron, looking over our nominees, I have to point out one of the best stories from this past season in Minnesota. Two of the best wrestlers in the entire nation came out of the state of Minnesota, but now they are actually competing in the same weight class. Stillwater's Ryder Rogotsky moved up a weight class last year to have a potential shot at Max McAnally from Waconia High. But McAnally came out on top in a tight 3-2 decision with a single leg takedown late in the third period to get the win.
That should definitely be an exciting story to follow, since they will be in the same conference for the next 4 years, with Rogotsky going to Ohio State and McAnally going to Minnesota. But even more exciting is what's in store for this year's Boys Wrestler of the Year. Excited to announce Ben Keeter, a senior from Iowa City High School in Iowa.
I'll tell you what, Ben capped off a pretty much perfect high school career. You're not going to believe this, but he literally went undefeated his entire 4 years. The heavyweight graduated with a 111-0 record for his time in high school.
Yeah, man, he was a pinning machine. He had like 74 total career pins, so I mean, really nobody stood a chance against Keeter.
I mean, and he tore it up on the national scene, too. He won a freestyle world championship last August, too.
He's probably going to go down as one of the best high school athletes to come from the state of Iowa.
Definitely.
Not only was he the nation's best high school wrestler, but fun fact, he also played football. And he was also named one of the top linebackers in the country for the class of 2023. So talk about a powerhouse.
Yeah, he's an unbelievable athlete for sure. And interestingly enough, this Under Armour All-American actually plans to continue his dual sport success in college. He's going to wrestle and play football at the University of Iowa next season. So can't wait to see what this very busy college career brings. So congratulations once again to your Boys Wrestler of the Year, Ben Keeter. You're watching the USA Today High School Sports Awards. Now let's move indoors to the hardwood and talk basketball, which, Christine, this is a sport I actually got to play in high school. And, well, I think my dad, who came to all my games, he would probably tell you didn't really play that much, Ryan, because my head coach at the time, he was known for picking 7 players, right? If you're in the top 7, you played. If you weren't, you were like on mop-up duty or whatever. You'd come in an emergency.
You were number
level.
8?
No, I was I was somewhere in the mop-up duty.
Basketball was probably my favorite sport.
Yeah.
I loved it. And my mom and dad came. My dad came to all my games as well. But I think for me, I'm tall. I'm almost 6 feet tall.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't have to jump much because I was taller than all my teammates and the opponents. So I was, just putting them up and in, a lot of rebounds and easy twos. So just a great sport to play in high school.
Yeah, for sure. So for these athletes that we're about to talk about, believe me, I'm envious of you all. Let's take a look at our top 25 in girls basketball. And without a doubt, one of the greatest of her time, the girls basketball player of the year is Juju Watkins, senior guard from Sierra Canyon High School in California.
Juju! Juju was for real, and she just really knew how to put on a show. Her senior night, just a cool 60-point, 21-rebound game.
That's incredible.
Like, come on, that's just a great way to go out on senior night,
I mean, that kind of says it all, doesn't it? She recorded numbers like that throughout the entire season, though, averaging 27.3 points and 13.8 rebounds per game. She also was the Naismith and Gatorade National Player of the Year and was also honored by the Los Angeles Times.
Yeah, now she can add this award to her trophy case. I'm not sure if there's any room left, though, Cydney.
Oh, yeah.
It'll be exciting to see what she does next at USC.
But I think we'd be doing a disservice if we didn't mention Joyce Edwards. She was our Rising Star of the Year last year. Mm-hmm. She had a hell of a basketball season that's worthy of recognition, winning a state championship.
And Jelani Cambridge has been a standout both here and in our local show out in Nashville over the past couple of years. Jaden Donovan of Sidwell Friends. There aren't a lot of holes in her resume either. No.
Yeah, but this was definitely Juju's all along, though.
All along for sure, and she could add one more to the trophy case. So congratulations once again to Juju Watkins, our National Girls Basketball Player of the Year. Moving right along to the guys' side, let's meet the nominees. Here's a look at the top 25 in boys basketball. Often in this sport, you see the top tier of players, the future Power 5, one and done type of guys leaving their high school teams, Barrett, for national prep or boarding schools. So what does that mean for this year's field?
I don't think you're missing much this year, honestly. I mean, some of the top recruits this year were out there repping their hometowns and high school teams, competing for state championships and everything. Like, it was just really, really awesome to see.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. Repping the hometown. You love to see it. And this year's boys basketball player of the year is Isaiah Collier, senior guard from Wheeler High School in Georgia.
It looks like Isaiah did it all for Wheeler this season. Scoring, passing, rebound, defense. That all-around game is a big reason why almost all of the recruiting services have Isaiah ranked as the top overall prospect in the class of 2023.
Yeah, so Christine, that means we might be looking at USC's first ever #1 overall recruit.
You know, he took home a few other notable awards this year, speaking of how great he is. He was named the Naismith Boys Basketball Player of the Year and was also selected to the USA Nike Hoop Summit roster.
I mean, he's more than deserving of this award, but Cameron Boozer out in Miami got a ton of well-deserved pub himself this past season.
Huge year.
He had a monster season as a sophomore, and there's another junior from Georgia, Ace Bailey. He was on fire all season for McEachern. He averaged 24 and 12, and he's already committed to go play at Rutgers.
Yeah, and honestly, there were a ton of players in the running, even at DJ Wagner. Really good point guard from New Jersey, turned heads this year. He's headed to Kentucky. But Isaiah, he's just a stud. Congratulations once more to Isaiah Collier, your boys basketball player of the year. All right, it's football time. And what's that old saying, Barrett? Offense wins games, but defense wins championships?
I played offense, so I don't really know how I feel about that saying.
Well, by the look of this list, it's safe to say that they definitely fit that mold. We're highlighting the players that were game changers on the defensive side of the ball. This is the top 25 defensive football players.
Man, this list is stacked with talent. No doubt we're going to be seeing a lot of these guys on TV on Saturdays from now on, probably starting even here in just a few weeks. And some of these guys are straight up forces up front, like Ruben Bain from Miami Central. Dude was among the nation's best at getting after the quarterback. He had like 30 sacks or something like that. Absolutely ridiculous. He definitely made things easier for Jude Joseph and the Rockets on their way to their 4th straight state title and top 5 national finish.
How about Drake Bowen out of Indiana, too? He put up some seriously impressive stats this season and is going to be an absolute stud for Notre Dame in the next few years.
Yeah, he was the Butkus Award winner, so he's the best linebacker in the country. All I could say is there's something different about football in the South. I think we can all agree with that. And that leads us to this year's Defensive Football Player of the Year, Caleb Downs, a senior safety from Mill Creek High School in Georgia.
Well, we already know that he's staying in the South and headed to the University of Alabama. But get this, he also comes from a long line of football success in his own family, including his dad and uncle playing professionally and now coaching. And his brother Joshua was drafted by the Colts this year playing wide receiver.
Man, I'm sure there was some heated backyard games between these two growing up.
Right.
Back in like the turkey bowls and Thanksgiving.
Couldn't even imagine how competitive that must have gotten. I mean, Barrett, he was actually one of our nominees last year, 2 finalists.
He was, but for this season, he just stood out that much more, just showing how great of an all-around player he is. He played both ways. He even rushed for like 20 touchdowns, but it was on the defensive side where he really caught the eye of Nick Saban. And, you know, I can see why. He's calm, cool, collected, and he has that ability to read what's in front of him, and sometimes before it even happens, which led to all those timely pick sixes he had last fall.
We can't wait to see what Caleb does with his new team this upcoming season. So congratulations, your Defensive Football Player of the Year. Roll Tide. All right, we're still on the gridiron. Now we're looking at our top 25 for Offensive Football Player of the Year.
Ryan, the 22 season was not lacking in star power, headlined by players like Geyers Jackson Arnold, who completed nearly 70% of his passes this season down in Texas.
He was awesome.
And even players like my fellow tight end brother, Deuce Robinson, who finished his season among the best in the country in receiving. And that's no small feat for a tight end.
Now, Barrett, I know you played tight end, right?
I
High
did.
school football?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now, I feel like this whole show, we've been kind of ragging on you a little bit. But I think even you would admit, like your career, Deuce Robinson, not quite the same?
Just a little bit. I was more of a glorified tackle. No blocking, no catchy is what I always heard.
Yeah.
Too bad this program didn't exist back when you were in high school, Barrett, because we definitely would have thrown your name in the ring.
I'll take it.
Hey, Barry, it's never too late. You can always go back to your old high school, relive those glory days. But anyways, enough about us. This year's Offensive Football Player of the Year is Lamar Sperling, a senior running back from Archbishop Hoban High School in Ohio.
This is a pretty cool story because Lamar is truly a talented multi-sport athlete. Not only is Lamar talented on the football field, but he played a key role in helping Hoban win a state championship in boys basketball too. But he was also named the overall Boys Athlete of the Year at the Greater Akron High School Sports Awards.
The guy's got some athleticism for sure, but earlier this year, he rewrote the record books on the field and was named Ohio's Mr. Football. He averaged over 240 yards a game for Archbishop Hoban, and he ran for 356 yards and 3 scores in the state championship game alone. He shattered the Ohio single-season record for rushing yards and offensive touchdowns by a huge margin.
Sounds like he ended up getting multiple offers from big programs like the University of Kentucky, but in the end stuck with the school that offered him first, and he's going to be playing for the University of Buffalo starting here in just a few weeks.
Yeah, I think he was chatting with Ohio State as well, hometown school, so that couldn't have been an easy decision to give that one up. So can't wait to see what happens next for Lamar Sperling, our Offensive Football Player of the Year. All right, now switching things up a little bit, but still talking football. We're talking flag football. This is the fastest growing sport in the high school ranks, still in the early stages, but this sport is planting its flag in a lot of states with the help of the NFL, bringing sanctioned flag football to states like Tennessee and Arizona this year.
Not Ryan with another sports pun.
I'm just having a little pun with it over here. Okay, before I get booted off here for my terrible sports puns, let's take a look at our top 25 flag football players. And the flag football player of the year is Mika Rowe, a senior quarterback from Alonzo High School down in Florida.
I'm so glad to see flag football on the rise. I think it's an awesome sport, and it's players like Mika that really are helping shape the sport. And the accolades have just been piling up for her after she led the Ravens to an undefeated season and a state title.
Yeah, just this season, she nearly surpassed over 100 passing touchdowns and had a 9-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio.
Man, we might need to let Nick Saban know about her as well.
Yeah, and on top of that, Mika was named the Class 2A Player of the Year and Florida's 2023 Miss Flag Football.
You go, girl.
She's leaving Alonzo as the school's all-time passing leader, and her team finished the season 23-0, ranked as the #1 team in the country.
Yeah, well, apart from her Alonzo High team, Southeast Bullock from Georgia, Desert Oasis High from Las Vegas, those are a few of the other best teams in the nation that featured some seriously talented and gritty girls out there. And a majority of those top nominees like Nichelle Brown and Chloe McKinney are still only freshmen and sophomores. So much more to come from this group. But hey, let's give another big hand to our flag football player of the year, Mika Rowe.
Congratulations, Mika.
All right, moving inside to the pool now with girls swimming and diving. Let's go ahead and meet our top 25.
I feel like with this sport, these athletes just keep getting stronger and faster. With this group, we're seeing state and national records being broken almost every year, and this year was no different. We're even seeing some of our athletes contending for or even participating in the Olympics, including last year's Girls Athlete of the Year, Claire Curzan.
Yeah, Claire's fantastic, and there's no doubt a few of the names on this list could be some of the next big stars of this sport, and one in particular is already well on her way. That's our Girls Swimming and Diving Athlete of the Year, Tegan Odell, a sophomore from Santa Margarita Catholic in California. Barrett, her run this year was nothing short of spectacular.
Yeah, the exclamation point really came through during the CIF state championship meet. She broke the girls' national high school 200 individual medley record. And interestingly enough, that mark was previously held by 2020 Olympian and our 2021 Girls Swimmer of the Year, Tori Husk.
And that was actually Tegan's second national record-setting race of the year. She had another earlier this season with Santa Margarita's 200 freestyle relay team. And if that wasn't impressive enough, she also won another individual state title in the 100 backstroke, besting the state record in that category too.
She still has 2 more years to break a few more records, right? But there is another sophomore to watch, Alex Shackle from Indiana, Powerhouse Carmel High School. She set multiple individual state records and swam on a pair of national record relay teams herself.
And definitely have to shout out to Erin Gamble. She's heading to the University of Texas. She set 2 of the nation's top times in the 100 and 200 freestyle events at the Washington Metros.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll be hearing all about these girls for years to come as they continue through high school and beyond. But this year's award was well earned by Tegan Odell. She's your Girls Swimming and Diving Athlete of the Year.
Congrats, Tegan.
All right, we're switching lanes once more to talk boys swimming and diving. Our top 25 this year was more than impressive. We saw 3 separate individuals break national records during their state tournament runs.
Yeah, and 2 of those records actually fell at the same state meet in Indiana. This sport had some of the most parity of any we saw this season.
Yeah, it's wild. In the same meet, I mean, My God.
I mean, one name we have to mention, though, is Scotty Buff.
Yes.
He's the number 1 ranked recruit in the class of 2023 and crushed a national record in the 100 butterfly at the Ohio State Championships. And I also got to mention Roman Jones, the NewJersey.com Swimmer of the Year, who finished his high school career with a combined 45-0 record.
Seriously, like 10 or more of these athletes definitely could have been named as this year's swimming and diving athlete of the year. But this one really came down to those big swims at the end. And because of that, your boy swimming and diving athlete of the year is none other than Will Modulin, a senior from Zionsville High School in Indiana.
Will couldn't even wait until the finals to beat out a 12-year-old national record in the 100 backstroke. He actually reset that mark during the state prelims, knocking off the record previously held by 4-time Olympic gold medalist Ryan Murphy, and then went on to win his 3rd consecutive state title in that event and also three-peated and broke his own state record in the 200 IM.
Yeah, he even swam leadoff for Zionville's 200 freestyle relay team. Guess what? That group set another state record. So just an insane tournament for Will.
Yeah, the University of Texas is getting a great athlete for sure.
Yeah, no doubt about that. So let's give one more big shout out to Indiana's Will Modulin, your boy swimming and diving athlete of the year. Next up, we're going to talk tennis, starting with girls tennis.
Ryan, do you play tennis by any chance?
I actually don't. What about you?
Oh, I've played my whole life. Actually, interestingly, really even before Title IX, when boys went off to play Little League, girls really had no sport to play, except tennis was the sport that I got into in 4th grade. And it was really acceptable for girls to play. Moms and dads got their girls in there. And I've really played ever since. It's just such a great game, obviously, and playing in high school. So it worked out for me.
You still play to this day?
I do. I absolutely do. I played in high school competitively. I was a doubles player. Now it's mostly singles, just hitting around, but always loved it.
Yeah, that seems like an awesome sport, especially to watch and cover. And with that, let's take a look at our top 25 in girls tennis.
A couple of the names on this list have some really impressive resumes already. There's Sari Wu. She went 21-0 this season and won Michigan's Division I singles title. She's headed to Brown. And then there's Shyla Agarwal. She's from the Cincinnati area, and she also went undefeated this season and repeated as the state singles champ.
But this year's girls tennis player of the year is Stephanie Yakoff, a senior from Fort Lee High School in New Jersey.
Stephanie's career record is just 3 varsity seasons, and it'll tell you everything you need to know. She's a blue chip prospect and is 63-0 already in her career. She's only the 3rd ever female athlete in New Jersey state history to win 3 overall singles championships. But this year, she actually only dropped 1 set all season, and it was in the state singles championship match. She went down 1-0 after the first set, but fought back to take the final 2 sets and defend her title. And she's got big things ahead of her, on the court and in the classroom, and she's heading to Harvard, Ivy Leagues.
Yeah, so let's hear it one more time for our girls tennis player of the year, Stephanie Yakoff.
Congrats, Stephanie.
Okay, next up, we're talking boys tennis. Let's have a look at our top 25.
Ryan, when we were looking at this group of athletes from last year, over half of them were underclassmen, even including our previous winner. So this was always going to be a great group to watch because we knew we would be seeing some familiar names on this list for this year.
Yeah, definitely some repeat names in there, like Graham Angus, Drew Hedgecoe, Noe Doe. And our winner is one of those repeat names as well. Our boys tennis player of the year is Nicholas Patrick, a sophomore from Almond Catholic High School in Illinois. And he was actually one of our finalists for this award last year. So it's really cool to see what he's accomplished this year to take the win.
Yeah, Ryan, this is really deserving title for Patrick this year for sure, because not only did he repeat as the 1A state champion, but he also ran his career singles record to 50-0. And even more impressive, there was only 1 match in Patrick's high school career that he ever reached 3 sets.
And that 1 3-set match was in this year's singles final. That loss was actually a tiebreaker that squared the title match at 1 set apiece. But Nicholas turned it up a notch and took the 3rd set to finish 25-0 on the season and take home the state championship trophy.
And to be fair, fellow blue chip prospect and sophomore Noe Doe, he won this award last year, Barrett. He was almost our first ever repeat winner in this sport because he actually went undefeated himself. He has swept every match of his high school career to date. So, Curci, it's not like know we did anything to like give the award up. You know what I mean?
Right. But there's something to be said for the adversity that Patrick faced and overcame in that state championship match.
No doubt.
I mean, that was the first set loss of his high school career. And he had to be feeling some serious pressure at that point, obviously. But he fought back and showed why he's definitely one of the best on the high school tennis courts right now.
Yeah, no doubt. And there's 2 more years of wins and championships ahead for Nicholas, I'm sure. So congratulations again to him, our boys tennis player of the year. Okay, we're moving on to some of our biggest awards. Let's start it off with our girls athlete of the year.
I feel like if we're talking athlete of the year, we've got to go back and talk about my girl, Juju Watkins, right?
Oh, absolutely, we have to.
The stats she was putting out every game speak for themselves, but the awards were just the cherry on top, and they did not stop rolling in.
No, you're not wrong, Cydney. I mean, Juju's no joke, but there's a lot of competition. We've talked about a lot of amazing athletes throughout the program, right? Our girls wrestler of the year, Audrey Jimenez, not only dominated in the girls division interstate, but she also was the first girl to win that boys tournament. I don't think she's ever had a match go the full distance. She's won them all in short order.
Yeah, I mean, I've got to mention Sage Margetko. You know, she threw multiple perfect games and didn't allow a run all year.
Fantastic.
I mean, or Tegan Odell breaking national records in the pool. I mean, it seems like everywhere I looked, I was finding crazier stat lines than the one before.
Yeah, greatness all around. It's a tough call here, but this year's girls athlete of the year is truly an all-around athlete. And that's Joyce Edwards, a junior basketball, soccer, and volleyball player from Camden High School in South Carolina.
Well, Ron, first things first, Joyce was our 2022 Rising Star of the Year. And me and you both knew that there was more coming from her. Just looking at the accomplishments she had this year, it made me think of that press conference, you know, when LeBron signed with the Heat.
Yeah.
And they asked him how many championships he was going to win. He was going, not one, not two, not three, not four. And he just kept counting. And that's just what it's like for Joyce. It never stops with this girl.
Yeah, there isn't much that she can't do or didn't do for Camden this year. She was the #1 ranked basketball recruit by ESPN and led the Bulldogs to a Class 3A state title, all while averaging well over a double-double with an impressive 28.5 points per game.
You know, but even before the basketball season started, she also led Camden's volleyball team in kills, took them all the way to the state quarterfinals. And after that was over, she was like, oh, wait, I've got more.
Not done.
And casually led the soccer team in goals this season and took them to the state quarterfinals and lost to the eventual state champion. So, I mean, like, she was just the MVP every single season for Camden.
That's a multi-sport athlete right there,
that's
right?
the true definition of it.
What an impressive run for Joyce. We can't wait to see what's in store for her senior year. So big congratulations to Joyce Edwards, our girls athlete of the year. Okay, we've arrived at the much anticipated boys athlete of the year. Cydney, what we got?
I'm just thinking about all of these great athletes that we've highlighted from this year. We've got players getting drafted to professional teams, players committed to major universities, and the group as a whole is just breaking all types of state and national records. It's just such an elite group of athletes, I feel like it's a tough pick.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, a few of our boys athletes really stood out. You got Ben Keeter, our national wrestler of the year. He's going on to play both football and he's going to wrestle at Iowa. Roderick Pleasant, one of the nation's top sprinters. He's a 4-star defensive back looking at a future in football at the University of Oregon.
Hey, and you can't forget about our hockey winner, Jason Shagabe. Got drafted by the Lightning straight out of high school.
Not alone.
And, you know, our baseball player of the year, Walker Martin, he got drafted by the Giants, and he's going to be one of their top prospects.
Yeah, seriously, the talent among these guys can't be matched. But one athlete in particular kind of gave us that wow factor that put him over the top. Your boys athlete of the year is Lincoln Kindholtz, a senior football, basketball, and baseball player from T.F. Riggs High School in South Dakota. Barrett, give us a little more about this wow factor. What put him over the top?
For starters, this 3-sport phenom hit the ground running this fall, and he had a main character senior year for sure. Not only is he a highly touted quarterback recruit, but he put up some monumental numbers for the 6-peat state champion Govs. And get this, he totaled 70 touchdowns this past season.
70 touchdowns?
Yeah, 70. And 24 of those were on the ground. True dual-threat quarterback. He was an All-American Bowl selection, and he's committed to go to Ohio State, and he's heading into his freshman season here in just a few weeks.
And apart from football, he was a 3-time All-State selection in basketball and baseball. On the court, he was averaging nearly 20 points a game and finished his basketball career as the school's second all-time leading scorer.
This guy's a baller.
And there's more. On the diamond, he led the Govs to their first ever state championship, and I'm pretty sure he played both shortstop and first base. And he also pitched, and he was a really good pitcher at that. He even pitched a shutout in the state semifinal. This guy can seriously do it all.
He definitely did it all. That's a reason why He's the boys athlete of the year. So big congrats again to Lincoln Kindholtz. Best of luck at Ohio State next year. Moving into some exciting awards, this is the girls' team of the year for the 2022-23 season. We've talked immensely about individual achievements, but achieving team goals is really what high school sports are all about.
Yeah, I mean, some of the best feelings about sports is, riding the bus to the big game, or winning that big game, and having the big pile after winning the championship. That's the type of stuff that you play for.
Yeah, there's nothing like the pig pile at the end, right? Yeah. So that team bonding, the Cinderella stories, the growth, playing for each other, that's what it's all about. And when you look at our girls' teams, we had some incredible stories throughout the year, right? The Coronado High School golf team is one out in Nevada, swept the top 3 individual spots at state, ran away with the team title by a ridiculous 34 strokes. The Cathedral Catholic volleyball team out in San Diego, they went 42-0 this year. That landed them number 1 in the USA Today Super 25 poll.
Yeah, Ryan, but who's taken home one final team title this year?
Yeah, I thought you'd never ask, although we had some solid competition. As I said, our girls' team of the year is the Carmel High School swimming and diving team from Indiana.
These are some serious swimmers, and we've been covering a lot of talented athletes coming out of the school for the past few years.
They're the powerhouse.
But the reason that this team is so deserving is that their girls swimming and diving program is going on 37 consecutive championship titles.
And that extends the national record for the longest consecutive high school state titles in any sport.
And they won 10 events at this year's state meet, which broke yet another record and set national records in both the 200 medley relay and the 200 freestyle relay. And on top of that, the 498 points Carmel scored is now the most ever recorded at the Indiana state meet. So while this program has been untouchable for years, this year's team was just on another level.
And this dynasty is far from over. Their top 3 swimmers are all underclassmen, sophomores Alex Shackle and Lindsey Bowen, and freshman Molly Sweeney. I mean, Sweeney swam on both of those national record relay teams and also became just the 10th freshman in Indiana state history to win a pair of individual titles. All 3 of these underclassmen were nominees for this year's National Swimming and Diving Athlete of the Year award, and they'll definitely be on the watch list as we turn the page to 2024.
Absolutely. More to come from this Carmel High School girls swimming and diving dynasty for sure. So congrats once again to our National Girls Team of the Year. So what was the most accomplished team you all have played for or against?
Hey, for me, it was my junior year baseball team. Went to the state playoffs, made it to the state championship in Georgia, and we ended up losing to the team that previously won a Little League World Series.
Oh, so you lost, so that didn't go very well for you.
Yeah, we'll just leave it at that. We won't talk about scores or who I played against or anything. So, yeah, we'll leave it at that.
All right, Cydney, what about you?
I played on a club softball team called the Dirtbags. I have a lot of fond memories from that. We didn't necessarily make it to any state championships, but it was still a lot of fun.
That is fun. You mentioned the Little League World Series team. My Little League team didn't make it to the World Series. We did win a state championship, and that was by far my fondest memory. Over 20 years later, I still think about that night. I still remember it. But let's take a look at who we've got lined up for our boys' team of the year.
Hey, man, the people want to know.
They do. The boys' team of the year is St. John Bosco football out in California. Can you tell us a little bit about them, Barrett?
Yeah, so this is the number 1 team in the USA Today Super 25. And we're talking about a team that had over 40 players on their roster that had Division I offers.
Okay.
So needless to say, They were deep with top-tier talent at pretty much every position, which helped them beat arch rival Mater Dei, the number 3 team in the Super 25, and a barn burner in the Southern Section Championship game.
Yeah, and that game ended up being bigger than the Open Championship that came like a week later.
Yeah, I mean, they played in front of 16,000 people at the Rose Bowl. Mm-hmm. Like, that's college stuff right there.
Yeah.
And, what's pretty cool about that is that they took a really close loss to Mater Dei in the regular season, but then they came back and got their revenge and dominated them in that game.
Well, when you factor in the team's talent, recruiting numbers, state title, and 2 wins over national top 25 teams, St. John Bosco was well deserving of this pick and is by far one of the best teams in the country.
Definitely one of the best football teams in the country, no doubt, Cydney. We had a few contenders for this award, right? Let's bring up the Ben Davis High School basketball team out in Indianapolis. Just the 14th team in the state's rich basketball history to finish the season undefeated. They went 33-0. The Stoneman Douglas baseball team, that team continues to make noise in arguably the toughest high school baseball region in the entire country. They're out in South Florida. The Eagles finished 29-0 and captured their 3rd straight state title. Tip of the cap to them as well. But we'll be hearing about these boys from St. John Bosco for years to come, right? So congrats once more to our National Boys Team of the Year. Well, guys, sadly, that's a wrap.
Is that all the awards?
That's it. That's all the awards. And I wish we had more because this has been so fun highlighting these stories. But I feel like we just have to take a minute to recognize this group of athletes that we've been talking about. And just so many state champions, Division I, Power 5 commits, potential pro athletes. I mean, multiple of our baseball nominees, Barrett, drafted in the MLB draft a couple months ago. Our hockey player of the year, Jason Shagave, he was drafted as well.
Yeah, I mean, and then, a lot of these basketball nominees and our Isaiah Collier, they're going to be in the NBA next year. 19 years old.
Well, and consider all the Olympic sport athletes.
Yeah.
What could come for them. Paris, next year, the Olympics. But even more important, 4 years after Paris, 2028, Los Angeles Summer Olympic Games. What would be better than having the ability to compete on home soil at an Olympics?
There's so many future superstars, Cydney.
Yeah, and there's so many athletes in their respective sports breaking barriers, including Tegan Odell and Audrey Jimenez, who are Olympic hopefuls that we'll hopefully see next year.
We'll be keeping an eye on them. Well, we hope you all had fun. I think we definitely did. I don't know, maybe too much fun?
I had a blast. Yeah, I'll start working on my joke game for next year, see if I can bring some better material to the table. But seriously, everyone, thank you for joining us. And on behalf of the USA Today Network, congratulations again to all of this year's winners. We can't wait to see what you all do next. Good luck to all of our athletes out there. We'll see you next time.
Take care, everyone.
See you later.
Bye. Thank you all for joining us, and congratulations to all of the nominees and winners this year who are truly representing the best in the nation. And a big thank you to all the parents, guardians, coaches, trainers, teachers, and supporters. You are all paving the way for these fine young athletes and preparing them for their exciting journeys ahead. We look forward to seeing more stories, wins, and record-breaking performances over the next year, and can't wait to see what this group of athletes will accomplish next. Thank you for watching the USA Today High School Sports Awards.
For more information and stories on our high school athletes, visit sportsawards.usatoday.com.